Today's headlines. President Duterte urges Filipinos to uphold nationalism as the country commemorates Bonifacio Day. The National Bureau of Investigation files criminal charges against a former police official implicated in illegal drugs. Philippine Airlines is set to launch more domestic flights coming via Clark International Airport. The 6th ASEAN Scout Jamboree in Tagum is hailed as the most attended scouting event in ASEAN. Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Moroto. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The country commemorates the 154th birth anniversary of Andres Bonifacio, the father of the Philippine Revolution. President Rodrigo Duterte urged Filipinos to instill an era of civic consciousness and nationalism in honor of Bonifacio. In his Bonifacio Day message, the president said that everyone should be actively involved in nation building. He called on Filipinos to fight for freedom from corruption, criminality, and illegal drugs, to liberate the people from terror and violence, and to preserve the Filipino ideals, values, and way of life. The president praised Bonifacio for inspiring Filipinos in his time to revolt and fight for freedom, thus laying down the foundation of the nation. He said it is the solemn obligation of Filipinos to bring life to his aspirations. Duterte also said Filipinos should never lose their sight in realizing the vision for a better and more progressive country. He called on Filipinos to follow Bonifacio's example and light the flames of change that will bring about real and meaningful transformation in our nation. Several supporters of President Duterte staged separate rallies all over the country today, expressing their support on the establishment of a so-called revolutionary government. The organizers dubbed their activity as a national and international day of Philippine Revolution. The rallies are in response to the president's threat to establish a revolutionary government if his critics continue to oppose how he runs the government now. The rallyists aim to show their support to Duterte and urge him to implement changes the people wanted. Simultaneous activities were held in Metro Manila and other major cities in the country. Duterte supporters assembled in Mendiola as early as 6 in the morning for the RevGov rally. Thousands also held a huge RevGov rally at the Crocodile Park in Duterte's hometown in Davao City. Other supporters held their own activities at the Plaza Independencia in Cebu City and Mendoza Park in Puerto Princesa City, Palawan, as well as various parts of Iloilo. Police and military personnel meanwhile secured the participants of the Davao RevGov rally as well as others around the country. Malacanang said President Rodrigo Duterte had skipped the commemoration of the 154th birth anniversary of Andres Bonifacio in Caloocan City due to a commitment in Mindanao. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said the president will be visiting an undisclosed conflict-ridden area in the south. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana instead led the flag-raising and wreath-laying ceremonies at the Bonifacio National Shrine as Duterte's representative. Among those present were Vice President Leni Robredo, Armed Forces Chief of Staff General Ray Leonardo Guerrero, local government leaders led by Caloocan City Mayor Oscar Malapitan, and representatives of the National Historical Commission of the Philippines. The National Bureau of Investigation filed criminal charges before the Office of the Ombudsman against a retired police official whom President Rodrigo Duterte implicated in the illegal drug trade. Retired Police General Marcelo Garbo Jr. and his wife Rosalinda were accused of amassing alleged ill-gotten wealth worth 35.36 million pesos. The NBI said that Garbo amassed assets beyond his income and did not declare certain assets in his Statement of Assets, Liabilities, and Net Worth from 2005 to 2015. Among the alleged undeclared assets were golf club shares worth 1.1 million pesos and vehicles. The NBI recommended to the Department of Justice to make a request with the United States government to determine if any member of the Garbo family owns real property in the U.S. NBI Anti-Graft Division head Nathaniel Ramos said that they were not able to determine if the undeclared assets may have been sourced from proceeds of illegal drug trade. However, the NBI made assurances that its investigation of the drug links of the so-called narco generals is still ongoing. The Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency expressed regret in the inadvertent mention during a recent press conference that one of the suspects in a buy-bust operation in Taguig is infected with HIV. Here's our report.
The Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency apologized to the public for disclosing that one of the suspects arrested in a hotel buy-bust operation is living with HIV. PDEA Director General Aaron Aquino said that during the operation, one suspect admitted that he is HIV positive after yielding to authorities a bottle of medication. Aquino admitted they disregarded the suspect's privacy, adding that it was never their intention to be insensitive and discriminatory against people with HIV. PDEA operatives arrested 11 suspected male drug personalities in a buy-bust operation inside room 609 of Seda Hotel, Bonifacio Global City last November 26. Meanwhile, Senator Risa Ontiveros urged government agencies to observe current laws, protocols, and systems in dealing with persons living with HIV. She pointed out that disclosure of a person's HIV status without his or her consent is against the Philippine AIDS and Prevention Control Act of 1998. She also urged the public to practice sensitivity in social media and in discussions surrounding the HIV status of a person. The senator is the author and champion of the Philippine HIV/AIDS Policy Bill, or Senate Bill No. 376, which seeks to address the gaps in the current law that governs the government's response towards HIV/AIDS. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Bench Bondo.
The Bureau of Customs has removed some of its personnel assigned at the terminal gates of 4 major ports for redundancy of workload. Customs Commissioner Isidro La Peña said customs gatekeepers of the Pier and Inspection Division and Customs Police of the Enforcement and Security Services are no longer tasked to check the gate pass at the terminal gates. The order is implemented in the ports of Manila and Batangas and the port of Subic and the Manila International Container Port. La Peña explains that port operators already have an automated working system to check the entry and exit of containers. Cargoes already marked for release should no longer be subjected to further scrutiny by ESS guards. La Peña added that he is hearing negative feedback as to alleged conspiracy among PID gatekeepers and ESS guards before cargoes are released. The district collectors are given the authority to determine new tasks for the BOC personnel affected by this new directive. 14 new People's Army rebels were killed while 2 others were wounded and captured during the military operations in Nasugbu Town, Batangas. 5 government troopers were also wounded. Major Miko Magisa, 202nd Infantry Brigade Executive Officer, said the 730th Combat Group and the NPA clashed Tuesday night in Barangay Utod. The encounter stemmed from ongoing operations in the area, which earlier resulted in the capture of an NPA base and undetermined rebel casualties last November 20. Magisa said that they are still verifying reports that the Secretary of the NPA's Guerrilla Front 3 and a platoon leader were among the fatalities in the encounter. The rebel band also sustained losses during an encounter with government troops last September 24 at Mount Banoy, Barangay Talumpok, Batangas City. A rebel was reported killed while M16 automatic rifles and a bandolier was also recovered with no losses to the government's side. Still to come, Philippine Airlines is set to launch more domestic flights coming via Clark International Airport. A new Army battalion is set to be formed to fight the new People's Army in Panay. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Alam mo, the changing picture of politics, nag-iiba as history will give you the geopolitics and the imperialism and wars. It used to be the Philippines under the Spaniards, the Indonesians under the Dutch, and Malaysia under the British. And over the years, there's a changing picture. Independence came in, and we have our own, predilections to where we would want to belong. And of late in this generation, we have come up with something that is really native to ours. After gaining our independence, the elder politicians of this country, the bright ones, came up with this ASEAN Association. And so, every now and then, we meet and we talk since then. Of late, we had the ASEAN Summit, and it was agreed that peace amongst the members must be preserved, and cooperation and help, assistance must also be present. The job of a president is to maintain the balance of friendship and power in the region. But then I had to think of the 2 million plus Filipinos outside of our country who are working mostly in the Middle East, mostly in Muslim states. I had to do it because I made a commitment during the ASEAN. And it was also their promise that to do the same, that we treat our poor citizens who happen just to intrude somewhere with understanding, with love, or after all, hindi naman ito mga mayaman. And if we can come up with a constitution that truly reflects the dreams and aspirations of the people, especially against graft and corruption, huwag kayong matakot. And you can include even in the powers of the presidency, constrict it, do not add the powers to what is provided for in the Constitution right now. That is a guarantee to you that I do not seek power.
Travelers can expect more flights from Clark International Airport as Philippine Airlines announced new domestic routes starting next month. Here is our report.
Philippine Airlines will launch more domestic flights from Clark International Airport starting next month. The new domestic connections are seen to help relieve the congestion at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. On December 1, PAL will launch flights from Clark to Masbate, Calbayog, and Catarman. PAL's 86-seater dual-class Bombardier Q4100 will serve the new domestic connections. By December 15, PAL will open the Clark Bacolod and Clark Tagbilaran. Clark Cagayan de Oro and Clark Virac flights are slated to begin on December 16 and 10. On January 15, 2018, the airline will open Clark Naga and Clark Legazpi flights. PAL will also launch 9 new routes in addition to the current routes from Clark Pampanga. Alexander Cauquiran, President and CEO of the Clark International Airport Corporation, said that compared to previous years, more airlines are now appreciating Clark's marketability and its increasing number of local destinations. Clark has already recorded 1.1 million passengers from January to October 31, and passenger traffic is projected to reach 1.4 million by year-end, even before the construction of the new passenger terminal and runway has begun. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Crismundo.
Department of Trade and Industry Secretary Ramon Lopez foresees the country's manufacturing sector reaching a 10% growth next year. Lopez cited policies to encourage local production of products that the country imports. The government eyes an 8% to 10% manufacturing growth until the end of the Duterte administration. Manufacturing had the highest contribution to gross domestic product growth in the third quarter of the year as the sector rose 9.4%. Manufacturing growth was boosted in 2012 to 2016 with an average growth at 7.3% after the DTI launched the Industry Development Plan in 2012. Meanwhile, Ayala Corporation Chairman and CEO Jaime Augusto Sobel de Ayala said the fourth industrial revolution will further support the manufacturing growth of the country. Ayala stressed the need to invest in technology to improve production capacity, increase competency, and make manufacturing more cost-efficient. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas estimated as much as 3.6% in price increases due to sustained uptick in oil prices this November. In a statement, the Bangko Sentral said its Department of Economic Research has considered the higher oil prices to push electricity rates in areas being serviced by Meralco. It said this upward risk could be partly offset by the slightly stronger peso for the month. Average inflation is expected to remain within the national government's target range of 3% percentage point for 2017. Last October, inflation rose to 3.5% from 3.4% a month before, resulting in a 3.2% average in the first 10 months of 2017. The central bank's policy-making monetary board eyes an average of 3.2% for inflation this year. A new battalion may be activated to continuously pursue the new People's Army in the island of Panay. DILG Undersecretary Eduardo Año said the Philippine Army is fast-tracking the pullout of the 82nd Infantry Battalions deployed to Marawi City. Colonel Pio Dinyoso, commanding officer of the Philippine Army's 301st Infantry Brigade based in Dingle, Iloilo, said that they are currently expediting the activation of the new battalion. The battalion is expected to be organized early next year. Año, meanwhile, said they would also provide additional training and equipment to the Regional Mobile Force Battalion of the Police Regional Office 6 to improve their skills and perform better. He added that they would also review the standard operating procedures, tactics, procedures, and techniques of the Philippine National Police personnel in Western Visayas to improve their skills in dealing with incidents like NPA ambushes and clashes. Zamboanga City Councilor Charlie Mariano stepped down from office after the Commission on Elections affirmed in finality his disqualification. The COMELEC issued a writ of execution deemed final and executory, which was served to Mariano during the City Council's regular session. The COMELEC First Division disqualified Mariano on November 23, 2016, after 4 of his colleagues and 4 other losing candidates in the 2016 elections filed a disqualification case against him. The petitioner cited that Mariano is disqualified from holding office as he was found guilty for violation of the bouncing check law before the 2016 elections. Mariano filed a motion for reconsideration in his disqualification case, but it was denied on August 31. In his farewell speech, Mariano expressed his gratitude to his colleagues and staff of the City Council and the residents who voted him into office. He vowed to be of service to the public as long as there is an opportunity for him to do so. Up next, the new officials of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines is set to assume office on December 1. The 6th ASEAN Scout Jamboree in Tagum is hailed as the most attended scouting event in ASEAN. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns.
Katatapos lang ng 31st ASEAN Summit dito sa ating bansa. Ano nga ba ang pakinabang ni Juan, Maria at Pedro sa katatapos lang na ASEAN at mga bilateral meetings ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte kasama ang ilang pang partner nations? Ito ang ilan sa mga malaking proyekto. 46 billion pesos galing sa Japan para sa Metro Manila Subway Project mula Quezon City hanggang NAIA. Mga equipment at radar upang labanan ng terorismo at para maging mapayapa ang ating karagatan. 3.8 billion pesos para sa mga proyektong infrastruktura galing sa China tulad ng pagpapatayo ng 2 tulay sa Binondo papuntang Intramuros at Estrella papuntang Pantaloyon. Ang konstruksyon ng Drug Rehabilitation Center sa Mindanao. At ang 1 bilyong piso para sa rehabilitasyon ng Marawi. Ang pagtulong ng New Zealand upang mapabuti ang weather visualization solutions ng Pag-asa. Ang pag-angat ng ating edukasyon sa pamagitan ng kooperasyon ng JET at ng New Zealand at Russia, at ang pakikipagtulungan ng Russia sa Pilipinas para sa larangan ng government mass communications capacity building.
It has been a pleasure to work with our ASEAN family and our dialogue partners in moving the ASEAN community forward in enhancing cooperation in various areas.
Bilyon-bilyong halaga ng grants, aid, investments ang napunta sa ating bansa sanhi ng pakikipag-usap ng ating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa kanyang mga counterpart sa Amerika, China, Japan, New Zealand, Canada at iba pang mga bansa. Patunay lamang na mas lalo pang tumatag ang relasyon ng Pilipinas sa ASEAN at sa buong mundo. Tunay nga na partnering for change, engaging the world.
A member of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan in Aklan reminded resort owners in Boracay to give discounts to senior citizens this Yuletide season. SP member Nemesio Neron, chairman of Committee on Senior Citizens, said that it is hard for them to monitor businesses which are not properly dispensing the discounts intended for the elderly. Senior citizens are entitled to several privileges and benefits, including 20% discounts in many services, including hotels and restaurants. Neron stressed that providing proper services would make Boracay tourism-friendly for senior citizens. He added that the SP members are willing to hear concerns and grievances from senior citizens coming to enjoy and relax in Boracay, especially this Christmas time. New officials of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, or CBCP, will officially assume office on December 1. The new officials will be serving a 2-year term until December 2019. Newly elected President Archbishop Romulo Valles was elected last July during the biannual meeting of the conference. He will succeed outgoing President Archbishop Socrates Villegas. Valles will be the 20th head of the 72-year-old collegial body of bishops. Caloocan Bishop Pablo David was also elected as vice president. CBCP officials have a maximum of 4 years to be in office or 2 terms. If tradition is to be followed, incumbent officials are re-elected for their second and last term. The bishops likewise elected members of the CBCP Permanent Council. Also re-elected were Palo Archbishop John Du as Treasurer and Father Marvin Mejia as Secretary General. The 6th ASEAN Scout Jamboree broke previous records by achieving another feat as the most attended scouting event in the history of the scouting movement in the ASEAN region. Here is our report.
With the Philippines hosting the 6th ASEAN Scout Jamboree, a whopping delegation of 24,560 local scouts broke the country's record of the number of delegates participating in the local scout jamborees. Last 2015, during the 16th National Scout Jamboree, over 22,000 scouts joined the local scouting event. The 6th edition of the ASEAN Jamboree brought together 29,753 delegates. About 5,000 of them are members and volunteers of the International Service Team coming from various institutions and government centers all over the Philippines and outside the country. The International Scout delegation comprises 13 countries, summing up to a total of 386 foreign scouts. Korean students from Gracias Music High School of South Korea also graced the Camp Chief Night and the Cultural Night of the 6th ASEAN Scout Jamboree with an astounding orchestra performance. With international delegates present, the Jamboree is a perfect venue for cultural exchange and education. The Jamboree modules, such as Crossroads of Culture and Faith and Belief, are great ways to appreciate the beauty of cultural diversity and to foster cultural learning. The ASEAN Scouts Cultural Night also showcases the various cultures of the ASEAN region through cultural performances. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's headlines. President Duterte urges Filipinos to uphold nationalism as the country commemorates Bonifacio Day. The National Bureau of Investigation files criminal charges against a former police official implicated in illegal drugs. Philippine Airlines is set to launch more domestic flights coming via Clark International Airport. The 6th ASEAN Scout Jamboree in Tagum is hailed as the most attended scouting event in ASEAN. The holidays are coming soon. It's 25 days before Christmas. For more stories, please log on to www.pna.gov.ph or visit the PNA page on Facebook and Twitter. And that's your daily dose of the hottest news and the latest information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Good day.